It seems that reports of my survival have been greatly exaggerated.
This isn't possible.
Oh, I assure you, it is. How? Not how. Why? You were never meant to come here.
We have our orders. Leave the city, radio command from outside the storm wall. They send in the cavalry, we go home.
Hello there, Sarah from 17 once again. This is my Spec Ops The Line FUBAR Difficulty video walkthrough. This is Chapter 9, this is The Road. This is a pretty short mission compared to some of the other ones. It's got some interesting sections in it. It's also got one of the plot points which I absolutely hate in the game. And I am going to ruin the story, guys, mainly because I think you should play it and discover it yourself, and you shouldn't be watching the guide if you haven't, or if you don't have any investment, that's perfectly fine. But I mentioned in a previous video that the whole concept of a good twist is where it gives you the clues in such a subtle way that you don't pick up on them, and even if you do, you still can't quite tell where it's going, and it gets you anyway. Well, this is one of those moments where I don't think you could physically see through this at all, because the exposition that they show you at the end is completely different to the conversation that you saw, and that really pisses me off. Because what's going to happen here, folks, is you have a choice to make. You either shoot the bad guy or the other perceived bad guy, or you shoot the snipers. There are your three choices. And it's presented in such a way which makes you think it's, really deprived and serious. But at the end, it goes back to this, and it uses it as a plot point to prove your disassociation between reality and what's happening around you. But that's not how it works when you're there. They completely fucking change it, and I just think it's terrible. I think that's really bad. And the excuse is easy, because it's one of those things where, oh, you're not meant to supposed to tell what's happening because he's having an episode. He's having one of these mental shifts that's helping to his breakdown of his psyche. But fuck that. That is so lazy. That is literally like the end of the fucking Matrix being a dream. And as a storyteller and as somebody who enjoys stories, it's just bullshit and it's lazy. But it does add to one of the great things about this game, and that is the breakdown of your team. As shit really starts to hit the fan, the commands between the teammates really does show a type of intensity you don't get in games, and it's a very mature direction which, don't get me wrong, there are moments which are really silly, where your team's like, fuck this, fuck that, getting really angry, and then the next line is one that's pre-programmed, completely calm, not an ounce of hatred in the voice, and they're like, let's go this way. And that's just mechanical problems, but it's still a cool idea, and I hope that a lot of developers see it or hear about it and they implement it, because it adds realism, it really does. Because believe it or not, folks, realism doesn't have to be, your gun shaking as if you've got Parkinson's. It doesn't have to be that. Realism can be a lot of things, and it can be subtle too. It doesn't have to be bullshit, and I like that about this game. This encounter here, if you sit on this piece of cover that I'm on and you use your team to the best of your ability, they won't shoot at your cover, because if you'll notice, this is not the best place to hide. If you get shot at a lot and you get focused fire, your cover will disintegrate and you'll be vulnerable, and on FUBAR you really will be fucked up beyond all recognition, and you don't need Tango and Cash to translate it because it's a real bad time. But take your time, keep your composure. This seems a lot more intense than it actually is, and as soon as the sandstorm comes you're going to get a checkpoint and you don't have to worry about this section anymore. Because just look at that, I didn't even have a chance to shoot that guy when I bobbed up, and if I did not bob back down, I'd have been dead. So, just don't worry if sometimes you feel like you should be shooting or you should be contributing, because you really don't. This game can be really challenging if you let it, and hopefully this guide's going to give you the confidence you need to get through it, which is pretty much what guides do. And that checkpoint there, the crossfade happened because I died coming forward thanks to my team, and it spawned me here, and I couldn't link the footage, so that's why there's a nice little transition. And the reason why I blame my team, guys, is not because I'm a bad craftsman. Literally, they ran forward saying it was clear, and when I ran forward there was a guy in cover who shot me dead. So do not listen to your team, do not follow your team, take your time, clear out the area, and when you think it's clear, push forward tentatively, never assume, or you'll just end up paying the price. But in the last video I was on about certain genres of games that would make games that have been released better games. For instance, I mentioned that Dragon Ball Z doesn't necessarily have to be a beat-em-up, even though the series itself, the manga and everything, is essentially a bunch of dudes fighting. But they've kind of got themselves into this pigeonhole of they release nothing but beat-em-ups. They haven't even tried anything different. And I think that's a big shame, because one beat-em-up that I would have liked Dragon Ball Z and thought that the setting of Dragon Ball Z would have fitted in really well with, as I'm somehow alive just then, that was weird. Do not try that at home, folks. You will end up in tears. And that is Super Smash Bros. Melee. A lot of people in the fighting game community hate those games because they think that, you know, they're utmost casual fighting games that kind of patronises this niche that they found themselves in. And I completely disagree with that, because what Super Smash Bros. Melee, or Smash Bros. In general, you know, lacks in complexity, it makes up in fun and just the ability to get 4 friends on a sofa having a ridiculously good time. Because I don't know about you, but I've never had that with a standard beat-em-up, unless you're passing the pad and unless it's something really good. And I think Dragon Ball Z would be the ultimate game for a Super Smash Bros. Completely ripped off, inspired rendition, because you've got the 2D plane, you've got all the smashing them into the ground and into the arena, into rocks and stuff, and it all breaking and changing and adapting. And you've got all the ridiculous moves that they do, because they always charge up, they power up, they go Super Saiyan, they do all that fantastic jazz. And Smash Brothers is a game where, on top of your standard attacks, you have a series of smash attacks and a series of special attacks. So to me, it just seems tailor-made for that kind of game. Obviously, at the time, nobody wants to rip off Smash Brothers because it's one of the IPs that Nintendo has, and it's kind of the only real beat-em-up that they have. You know, you go forward to 2012, and now we have Sony making a blatant rip-off, but not in a bad way, because Smash Brothers is a great fucking game. Why would you not rip it off? Look at Darksiders. It ripped off pretty much every single game last year when it came out. Portal, this, that, it did all of it. But it did it well, and it did it to such an extent that nobody cared, because it was an excuse to play the type of games we enjoy. And I'm all for innovation, I'm all for new titles, and I'm all for being creative, but at the same time, just because someone else has done it doesn't mean you shouldn't, and doesn't mean you shouldn't do something really great with something that already exists. And I think that's one of the things that's really lacking in games right now. It's this obsession with sequels, it's this Hollywood mentality of just keep pumping out what works, and I'm hoping it's headed towards a dramatic fail, and we go back to, you know, the stuff that Naughty Dog are doing, the stuff that, you know, Irrational are doing, the stuff that these brave devs are making. But thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. You take care.